Hello everyone, this is Bibi Cameron for Altenew, and today I have a couple of card designs with a twist. So this one here has a floral pocket in the front of the card, and inside that pocket we can add a card insert. The next card has an embossed vellum background. This is a very subtle element that adds elegance and softness to the design. Today I'm going to be featuring some of the goodies included in the Flutter and Bloom bundle. I'm not going to be using the embossing folder, but I'm going to be using the coloring stencils. As you see there, this bundle includes lots of stencils, also a coordinating die set, and the main ingredient is this massive stamp set. It includes 4 large images in 23 centimeters. So I'm going to start by stamping the images on a smooth cardstock. You will see me using a paperweight made out of glass to apply pressure and stamp the images a lot better. I'm also using a palette knife to remove the paper from the sticky mat. And now we are going to die cut the images. And this is a top tip for you. When we die cut the images first and then we stick them on the sticky mat, we have more room around them to place the stencil and stick the stencil on the mat as well. And in that way, we will have everything in place. It's completely different when we have a large piece of cardstock and the stencil has very little contact with the mat. I grab 4 ink colors from the same color family, and then I start applying the colors from light to dark. So with the stencil number 1, I use the lighter color, and sometimes, or maybe most of the times, I grab another ink color. In this case, it's Andromeda, a very dark purple color, and I'm going to be adding this color with all the layers as well, and that's the way I add harmony to the design. I was working in 2 images at the same time, so I was using the same layer of the stencil at the same time to make sure the images look as identical as possible, because I have an idea in my mind. But then I changed the idea, that happens. But I want to show you here how I do that in case you want to replicate the images or to make them look exactly the same. For the second layer of the stencil, we are going to use Caribbean Sky. There is no mystery here. I'm very light-handed. I don't want the color to be super dark. And then I use this dark purple ink over the center of the images, just like I did in the previous step. And I put away the ink pad because I'm not going to use it anymore. That's the way I know which color is the next in the line, and in this case it's Persian blue. And then I also apply that purple color in the center of the flowers, even when it's barely noticeable. And as simple as that, we finish adding colors to the petals. Now we have to add colors to the leaves, and for that we are going to need 2 stencils, meaning 2 different ink colors, and a contrasting color to add shadows or interest. So I'm applying the green color in circular motion through a stencil, and then I grabbed the brush that I was using to apply blue inks. It has some ink left in the brush, so that's what I'm using. And there is only 2 stencils more we have to use to finish these images. So we are going to use this one here with a lighter green color. And again, I'm using any ink I got left in the blue brush to add contrast and interest. I'm not re-inking the brush because I really want a very soft color degradation there. Next, I'm going to add color to the centers of the flowers, and I'm going to grab any yellow ink I find first. So I found this one here that is called Warm Sunshine, and I'm just applying it there. I'm not using any other ink to add contrast or anything. I'm just going to leave it like that. So this took about 6 minutes, and I got 2 completely color images. Now for the butterflies, oh my goodness, this stencil is so gorgeous. I was impressed with all the layers and details these stencils provide. So you can see there, I'm using the same ink colors that I use for the flowers, but in different order, also using some shadows here and there with the same purple ink. I can imagine 100 possibilities just using these butterflies for cards. But today we are going to use the whole package so I can show you things that you can create or extra ideas and inspiration. So these are the images I got to put together some cards. And I'm going to grab this C6 top fold card base and I'm going to place it on the stamp wheel. And I'm using tape to keep flat the front panel of the card base. I'm planning to stamp the image on the front panel, so I'm using this as a reference or a visual aid to identify where I have to place the stamp. You might know this technique is called eyeballing. So we don't need to do it perfectly, but we need to have a good sense of where we have to stamp the image. I'm planning to make a 5 by 7 inches card. Off camera, I cut a piece of cardstock that measures 4 inches 3/4 by 6 inches 3/4. Then we are going to place our card insert, align it with the bottom portion of that panel and making sure that there is a symmetrical edge around it. Then we are going to use low tack tape to secure that card base in place. And we are going to grab the die cut and we are going to align it with the stamped image, just like that. Then we are going to use a scoring tool to mark the areas we need to fold or wrap around this panel. This will make easier to fold the paper. The next we need to do is to fold the paper with our hands and use liquid adhesive to adhere these pieces behind the panel, just like I'm showing there. And to be able to shape the square corners, we need to make some snips on the paper like I'm doing here. And that makes easier to fold the paper in those areas as well. And once this is done, we have our pocket in the front panel. Just as simple as that. The next step is to adhere this on a 5 by 7 inches card base. And the best way to do it is using liquid glue. I'm using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive here. Now I'm going to place the card insert inside the pocket and I'm going to adhere a solid butterfly die cut at the top of the edge of that card insert. And pay attention because I only added glue at the bottom portion of the butterfly. I'm just doing this here because I need to make sure that that is glue in the right spot. And by this I mean that it's not going over the edge of the 5 by 7 inches card base or too low. So it's to make sure that we are going to adhere that butterfly in the right place. And to finish this card, you can stamp any of the sentiments in the stamp set or any sentiment that you might like. I stamped the sentiment in that corner there because when you place this inside the pocket, you can still see the sentiment, so everything there is part of that general design. But of course, you can use any of these design elements for different projects. What do you think about this idea? Let me know in the comments. I made a bonus card for you, and for that one, we are going to be using Raised Sentiments embossing folder to emboss a piece of vellum. I'm going to trim the paper and also score around the edges. Hopefully we don't have to score over the embossed areas because the vellum tends to crack, but I have to do it there, so I went with the flow. We are going to make some snips in the paper in the corners to be able to wrap that around the panel. And this panel is also 1/4 of an inch shorter than a 5 by 7 inches card base. The camera was a little bit blurred there, but you can still see that I use a tape runner to be able to fold and stick over that tape the edges of the vellum. I trim the corners in the other side, and I also use a scoring tool to score a line along the edge of the cardstock to be able to fold the vellum with ease. So you can see what I'm doing there. And I was going to trim the excess of vellum, but as it doesn't make any difference, I didn't. And I use a little bit of glue at the bottom area of the vellum. If you allow the glue to dry a little bit, you won't be able to see it. And to cover the raw edge of the vellum at the bottom of the card, I glue a little piece of gold mirror cardstock over. Using dimensional foam pads, I adhere the die cut over the vellum and I trim any piece that was sticking out the panel. To decorate this and add more dimension, I use one of the butterflies and I apply glue all over this piece to be able to adhere it on a 5 by 7 inches card base. Because Bibi always forget to stamp the sentiments, I did that at the very last, but I won't recommend to do that because if you make a mistake while stamping, you will spoil the whole panel. As I craft as I go and I'm always experimenting, I never think about that really at the very beginning. So let me know if you like these ideas. I think that vellum panel add a little twist to your cards because it's a soft, elegant touch, and the pocket is completely unexpected. I know we have made pockets for memory albums, so the idea is old, but we are going to incorporate it using our floral dies here in a different way. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel and visit the blog to see more ideas and inspiration. Thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Bye.